Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story, everyone. Rain hammers against the taxi window like an angry percussion section. Emily Carter clutches the gold-embossed invitation between trembling fingers, trying not to smear the ink with her sweaty palms. 27 years old, 2 jobs, a bank account that's practically crying. And now this, her wealthy cousin's wedding that she barely has the right clothes for. Number 47, Belmont Estate, the driver announces. And Emily's stomach does a complete somersault. The house is a modern glass and stone castle, lit up like a spaceship that's just landed in the Hollywood Hills. Cars that cost more than her entire apartment are parked in the circular driveway. Emily adjusts her borrowed black dress, the only remotely elegant thing that fit her, and takes a deep breath. 3 hours. I just need to survive 3 hours. The main ballroom is swarming with LA's elite. Champagne flows like water. Diamonds sparkle under crystal chandeliers, and Emily feels like an imposter in a movie she was never meant to be in. She grabs a flute from a passing waiter, more to have something to hold than to actually drink. Emily! Her cousin Sophia's shrill voice cuts through the chatter. She appears like a hurricane of white silk and forced smiles. I'm so glad you made it. You remember Ethan, right? Emily doesn't remember, but she smiles and waves at the man in the expensive tuxedo, who barely glances her way. Let me introduce you to some people, Sophia continues, already dragging Emily by the arm. There are some business owners here who might be able to help you with. What is it you do again? I work at 2 coffee shops to pay rent. I'm exploring opportunities. Emily responds diplomatically. The night drags like molasses. Emily smiles until her jaw aches, makes small talk about topics she doesn't understand, and drinks enough champagne that the world gets slightly fuzzy around the edges. When she finally manages to escape to the garden, it's nearly midnight. The cool air is a relief. Emily collapses onto a stone bench beside an illuminated fountain, slipping off the borrowed heels that are killing her feet. The party music becomes muffled inside, mixing with the gentle sound of water. Escaping too, Emily nearly jumps off the bench. On the other side of the fountain, half hidden in the shadows, sits a man. He's perched on the marble steps, bow tie loosened, dark hair messed up by his fingers. Even in the dim light, she can see he's devastatingly handsome, the kind of man who usually wouldn't notice her existence. Sorry, I didn't see you there, she stammers, trying to put her shoes back on. Don't apologize for existing. There's something in his voice, tired but gentle. The party is pretty awful anyway. Emily laughs, surprised by his bluntness. I thought it was just me. Everyone inside seems to be having such a great time. Everyone inside is pretending. He stands up, and Emily realizes he's tall, elegant in a way that seems effortless. Including me. Until 5 minutes ago, they fall into comfortable silence, just the sound of water between them. Emily should go back inside, find Sophia, do more forced networking, but there's something about this beautiful stranger that makes her want to stay. Do you know the bride and groom, she asks. Ethan is, let's say, a business acquaintance. He pauses. And you? Sophia is my cousin. Sort of. Our mothers were cousins, so technically we're second cousins. I don't know. Family's complicated, he laughs, and the sound is surprisingly warm. All families are. Emily studies him in the darkness. There's a sadness in him that she recognizes, the same one she sees in the mirror when she thinks no one's looking. Can I ask why you were hiding out here? Sometimes you need a break from being who everyone expects you to be. Wow. Emily feels something stir in her chest. I understand that completely. Do you? Absolutely. She leans forward. Today, I smiled so much my face hurts. I pretended to understand conversations about wines that cost more than my rent. I acted like someone I'm definitely not. And who are you really? The question catches Emily off guard. When was the last time someone asked that for real? I work a lot, maybe too much. I like books more than people most of the time. I'm terrible at small talk, but apparently good at pretending I'm not. And you? He hesitates. Tonight? Tonight, I'm just a guy who doesn't want to go back to that party. The silence that follows is comfortable, full of unspoken possibilities. Emily can hear her own heart beating faster. Thank you, she says suddenly. For what? For letting me be real for 5 minutes. He moves closer, and Emily catches his scent, something expensive and masculine that makes her want to breathe deeper. Thank you too. Something electric is happening between them, something dangerous and wonderful. Emily knows she should step away, go back to the party, to her real life. But when he reaches out to touch her face, she doesn't pull back. I don't even know your name, she whispers. Tonight, that doesn't matter. And then he kisses her. It's soft at first, hesitant, like a question. But when Emily responds, when her hands find his chest, the kiss deepens. It's desperate and sweet and completely unexpected. It's the kind of kiss she's read about in books but never thought would happen to her. When they break apart, both are breathless. I should. Emily starts, but doesn't finish because she doesn't know what she should do. I know. He touches his forehead to hers. Me too. They kiss again, more urgent this time. Emily feels like she's waking up from a year-long dream, like she's finally living instead of just surviving. A sound comes from the house voices, laughter, the sounds of the party continuing without them. Reality crashes back like a bucket of cold water. I need to go, Emily says, pulling away. This is crazy. Wait, he catches her hand. At least tell me, but Emily is already running back toward the house, heart pounding like a drum, lips still tingling from the kiss. She doesn't look back, doesn't trust herself not to run right back into his arms. Inside, the party continues, as if nothing has changed. But everything has changed. Emily has changed. That kiss, that man, it was real, even if it only lasted a few perfect, impossible minutes. She finds Sophia on the dance floor, drunk and radiant. Emily, where were you? I looked everywhere for you, just getting some air. Well, the party's really heating up now. Come on. There are some guys I want you to meet, but Emily isn't listening anymore. Her fingers touch her lips, still feeling the ghost of that kiss. Who was he? Will she see him again? Does it matter? Maybe it was just a magical moment meant to live in memory. Maybe it was the beginning of something that will change her life forever. One thing she knows for sure. She'll never forget the mysterious man in the garden and the kiss that made her feel, for the first time in years, truly alive. Emily's alarm screams at 6 a.m., like an accusation. She smacks it silent and immediately regrets existing. The champagne from last night has staged a full rebellion in her skull, and her mouth tastes like she's been gargling with regret. But then the memories flood back: the garden, the fountain, him, and suddenly, the hangover doesn't matter anymore. She touches her lips, remembering. Did that really happen? The whole thing feels like a champagne-induced dream. Too perfect and cinematic to be real, but she can still feel the phantom pressure of his mouth against hers, still smell that expensive cologne. Get it together, Carter, she mutters, dragging herself to the bathroom. It was just a kiss. People kiss at weddings all the time. It doesn't mean anything. But even as she says it, she knows she's lying to herself. An hour later, she's racing through downtown LA on her bike, dodging Ubers and delivery trucks with the reckless confidence of someone who's made this trip 1,000 times. Her first job is at Brew Haven, a tiny artisanal coffee shop tucked between a vintage bookstore and a trendy boutique in Silver Lake. You look terrible, announces Chloe, her co-worker and best friend, the moment Emily walks in. Chloe is 22, perpetually optimistic, and has never met a situation she couldn't improve with gossip and caffeine. Thanks. Really needed that confidence boost this morning. Late night at the fancy wedding, Chloe ties her apron with practiced efficiency. Did you meet any rich single men? Please tell me you at least got a business card. Emily busies herself with the espresso machine. It wasn't really that kind of party. Emily. Chloe stops mid-motion, fixing her with a stare. I've known you for 3 years. You're glowing. I am not glowing. I'm hungover and caffeinated. That's not the same thing. Uh-huh. Chloe grins. So, who was he? Before Emily can deny anything, the door chime announces their first customer of the day. Emily looks up, automatic smile ready, and promptly drops the portafilter she's holding. Standing in the doorway, looking just as shocked as she feels, is him, the mysterious man from the garden. In daylight, he's even more devastating. Tall, broad-shouldered, with those same dark eyes that seemed to see right through her last night. But now he's wearing an expensive suit that probably costs more than she makes in 6 months. And there's something different about him, something colder. Holy moly, Chloe whispers. That's Nathan Brooks. The name hits Emily like a freight train. Nathan Brooks, as in Brooks Enterprises, as in the billionaire CEO who's on the cover of Fortune magazine every other month. as in the man who's famous for being brilliant, ruthless, and completely untouchable. I kissed Nathan Brooks. Nathan's eyes find hers across the small cafe, and for a moment, neither of them moves. Emily can see the exact moment recognition dawns on his face, followed immediately by something that looks like panic. "Can I help you?" Emily's voice comes out smaller than intended. Nathan approaches the counter, and Emily notices he moves differently than he did last night, more controlled, more guarded. The easy intimacy from the garden has been replaced by a wall of professional distance. "Coffee, black, large," he says, his voice clipped, businesslike, coming right up. Emily's hands shake slightly as she operates the espresso machine. This is surreal. The man who kissed her like she was the only woman in the world is standing in her cafe, acting like she's just another service worker, which, she realizes with a sick feeling, is exactly what she is to him. Chloe, bless her, seems to understand the tension without knowing the details. She busies herself with inventory, giving them space while staying close enough to intervene if needed. Emily hands Nathan his coffee, careful not to let their fingers touch. "That'll be $4.50. He pulls out his wallet, leather, expensive, probably worth more than her bike, and places a 20 on the counter. "Keep the change." The tip is generous enough to pay for groceries for a week, but it feels like an insult, like he's trying to buy her silence or, worse, her gratitude. "I don't need charity," Emily says quietly. Nathan's jaw tightens. It's not charity. It's payment for a service. The words sting more than they should. Emily straightens her spine, drawing on every ounce of pride her grandmother ever instilled in her. "Right. Well, enjoy your coffee, Mr. Brooks." For a moment, something flickers in Nathan's eyes, regret. Maybe. Or recognition of how harsh he sounded. But then it's gone, replaced by that same corporate mask. "Thank you," he says formally and turns to leave. He's almost to the door when Emily's mouth opens before her brain can stop it. "Did you at least enjoy the wedding?" Nathan freezes, his hand on the door handle. He looks back at her, and this time she can see past the businessman facade to the man who held her in the moonlight. "Parts of it," he says quietly, and then he's gone, leaving Emily staring at a door that's still swinging and a $20 bill that feels like it's burning a hole in the counter. "Okay," Chloe says into the silence. "What the heck was that about?" Emily sinks onto a stool behind the counter, suddenly exhausted. "That was me learning that fairy tales don't happen to girls like me." "Emily, I kissed him." The words tumble out before she can stop them. "Last night at the wedding, I kissed Nathan freaking Brooks, and I had no idea who he was." Chloe's eyes go wide. "You what?" "It was dark, and he was just. He was this sad, beautiful man hiding from the party. And we talked. And then..." Emily covers her face with her hands. "Gosh, he must think I'm some kind of gold digger, like I planned it or something. Or," Chloe says gently, "he's freaking out because he let his guard down with someone real, and now he doesn't know how to handle it." Emily looks up. "What do you mean?" "Think about it. When was the last time Nathan Brooks had a conversation with someone who didn't know who he was? When was the last time a woman kissed him just because she wanted to, not because of his bank account? But he was so cold just now, so dismissive. Maybe that's his defense mechanism." Chloe sits on the stool next to her. "Rich guys like that, they don't know how to be real people. They're always performing, always protecting themselves." Emily wants to believe her friend, but the sting of Nathan's coldness is still fresh. It doesn't matter anyway. We live in completely different worlds. Do you? Are you kidding? He probably has more money in his wallet than I make in a year. I'm not talking about money, Emily. I'm talking about chemistry. And from what I just witnessed, you two have enough chemistry to power this entire neighborhood. Before Emily can respond, her phone buzzes with a text from her other job. The accounting firm needs her to come in early. Their regular bookkeeper called in sick. "I have to go," Emily says, grabbing her bag. "Can you handle the morning rush?" "Of course, but Emily..." Chloe catches her arm. "Don't write this off yet. Sometimes the best things come from the most unexpected places." As Emily bikes across the city to her second job, she can't shake the feeling that her life just shifted on its axis. The memory of Nathan's kiss wars with the reality of his coldness, leaving her confused and oddly hopeful. Despite herself, she doesn't notice the black sedan that follows her at a discreet distance, or the way Nathan watches her from the passenger seat, his coffee growing cold in his hands as he struggles with emotions he thought he'd buried years ago. 20 minutes later, Nathan sits in his corner office on the 42nd floor of Brooks Tower, staring out at the LA skyline without really seeing it. His assistant, Lucas, enters without knocking, a privilege earned through 5 years of managing Nathan's impossible schedule. "Your 2 p.m. canceled," Lucas announces, setting down a stack of contracts. Something about the merger being delayed. Nathan doesn't respond. He's thinking about the way Emily's face fell when he'd treated her like a stranger. The hurt in her eyes when he'd left that 20 on the counter like she was just another transaction. "Sir," Lucas ventures. "Everything all right?" "Fine," Nathan lies, turning back to his desk. What's next? But Lucas has been with him long enough to recognize the signs. "If I may, you seem distracted. Did something happen at the wedding last night?" "Something happened, all right." Nathan had spent the entire drive to the office, debating whether to go back to that coffee shop to try to explain himself. But explain what? That he'd forgotten how to be human around someone who didn't want anything from him. "Just tired," he says instead. "Long night," Lucas nods. But Nathan can see the skepticism in his expression. "Well, your afternoon is clear now. Maybe take some time to recharge." After Lucas leaves, Nathan pulls up the security footage from the wedding on his phone. His head of security had sent it this morning, standard protocol for any event he attends. He fast-forwards through hours of footage until he finds what he's looking for. There, captured in grainy black and white, is the moment everything changed. Emily running from the garden, hair flying behind her, looking like she'd just seen a ghost or kissed one. Nathan closes the video and leans back in his chair. For the first time in years, he has no idea what to do next. All he knows is that $20 tip was the stupidest thing he's ever done in his life. And that's saying something. Nathan stares at the financial report spread across his mahogany desk, but the numbers blur together like abstract art. 3 days have passed since the cafe encounter, and he can't focus on anything except Emily's face when he dismissed her so coldly. "I don't need charity, darn it." He'd handled that like an amateur, like some trust fund brat who'd never interacted with real people, which he thinks bitterly might not be far from the truth anymore. Lucas enters without knocking, a privilege earned through 5 years of managing Nathan's life with ruthless efficiency. "Your 2 p.m. canceled." Something about food poisoning, though I suspect it's more about the stock market dip. Nathan doesn't look up from the reports he's not actually reading. "Reschedule for next week." "Already done." Lucas pauses. "Sir, I don't mean to overstep, but you've been distracted lately. Is everything all right?" Distracted is putting it mildly. Nathan has spent the better part of 3 days conducting what can only be described as light stalking, driving past Brewhaven at various times without ever going in. He knows Emily works there from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., then heads to her second job at Miller & Associates, a small accounting firm in mid-city. He knows this because he may have had his security team run a completely unnecessary and probably inappropriate background check. "I'm fine, Lucas. Just working through some strategic planning." Lucas raises an eyebrow but doesn't push. "Well, there's been an interesting development." "The Miller & Associates account." Nathan's head snaps up. "What about it?" "They're requesting an emergency meeting. Apparently, they've discovered some discrepancies in their books and need our forensic accounting team to sort it out. Small potatoes, really, but they're willing to pay premium rates for discretion." Nathan's pulse quickens. Miller & Associates, Emily's second job. "When do they want to meet?" "This afternoon, if possible. I told them you don't usually handle accounts this small, but they specifically requested you. Said they'd heard about your personal touch with sensitive matters." Nathan is already reaching for his jacket. "Clear my afternoon. I'll take the meeting personally." "Sir." Lucas looks confused. "It's really not necessary for you to." "I said I'll handle it personally, Lucas." 20 minutes later, Nathan is standing outside the modest office building that houses Miller & Associates, questioning every decision that led him to this moment. This is insane. He's the CEO of a billion-dollar company, and he's chasing after a barista who clearly wants nothing to do with him. But he can't shake the memory of that kiss or the way Emily had looked at him in the garden, like he was just a man, not a walking bank account. The offices of Miller & Associates are exactly what he expected: cramped, outdated, and smelling faintly of old coffee and copy machine toner. The receptionist, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes, looks up as he enters. "Mr. Brooks, we weren't expecting you so early. I'm Margaret. We spoke on the phone. Mr. Miller is just finishing up with a client, but he'll be right with you." "Actually," Nathan says, improvising wildly, "I was hoping to get a preliminary look at the books first, get a sense of the scope before we start. I understand you have someone here who does bookkeeping." "Oh yes, Emily. She's wonderful. Been helping us get organized for the past year." Let me get her for you. Nathan's heart starts hammering as Margaret disappears down a narrow hallway. This is it. No going back now. He just hopes Emily doesn't throw something at his head when she sees him. A moment later, footsteps echo in the hallway, followed by Margaret's voice. Emily, dear, there's someone here from Brooks Enterprises who'd like to discuss the books with you. Emily appears in the doorway, arms full of ledgers, and freezes when she sees him. For a second, neither of them moves. Then Emily's eyes narrow dangerously. What are you doing here? She asks, her voice carefully controlled. Margaret looks between them, confusion evident. Do you two know each other? We've met, Nathan says carefully. Briefly, Emily sets the ledgers down with more force than necessary. Margaret, could you give us a moment, please? Once they're alone, Emily crosses her arms and fixes him with a glare that could melt steel. I'm going to ask you again. What are you doing here? Miller and Associates called for a consultation. That's not what I mean, and you know it. Emily's voice is low, dangerous. Are you following me? Nathan feels heat creep up his neck. That would be inappropriate. That's not a no. Look, I know how this seems. Emily steps closer, and Nathan catches that subtle scent he remembers from the garden, something clean and warm that has nothing to do with expensive perfume. This seems like a billionaire CEO who has nothing better to do than mess with the help. The words hit like a slap. That's not. I would never, wouldn't you? Emily's eyes flash. Because from where I'm standing, this looks an awful lot like some rich guy's idea of entertainment. Find the naive girl, mess with her head, see how far you can push before she breaks. You're wrong. The words come out sharper than he intended. Everything about this is wrong. Then explain it to me. Emily's voice softens slightly, but her stance remains guarded. Because I'm really struggling to understand why Nathan Brooks is standing in a cramped accounting office in mid-city. Nathan looks at her, really looks at her. Gone is the elegant black dress from the wedding. Instead, she's wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater that brings out her eyes. Her hair is pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she has a small ink stain on her thumb from whatever she was working on. She looks real and beautiful, and completely out of his league in all the ways that matter. I came because I owe you an apology, he says finally. The way I acted at the coffee shop was inexcusable. You're right. It was. I panicked. Emily blinks, clearly not expecting that admission. You panicked? When I saw you there, in your world, being yourself, I didn't know how to handle it. I've spent so many years being Nathan Brooks, CEO, that I forgot how to just be Nate. Something shifts in Emily's expression. Nate? That's what my friends used to call me before. He runs a hand through his hair. Before I became this. And what is this exactly? Nathan gestures vaguely at his expensive suit, his carefully styled appearance, a fortress, a performance, a way to keep people at arm's length so I never have to risk. He trails off. Risk what? Being rejected for who I really am instead of what I have. The confession hangs between them like a bridge. Neither is sure they should cross. Emily studies his face, and Nathan forces himself to stand still under her scrutiny, to let her see past the armor he spent years building. The man in the garden, she says slowly. That was really you. That was more me than I've been in years. Emily is quiet for a long moment. When she speaks again, her voice is softer. You really hurt my feelings, you know, with the tip. Like you were trying to buy your way out of having to acknowledge what happened between us. I know. I'm sorry. I handled it badly because I was terrified. Of what? Of how much I wanted to ask for your number. Of how much I didn't want that moment to end. Nathan takes a careful step closer. Of how much I wanted to kiss you again. Emily's breath catches. Nate, I know this is crazy. I know we're from different worlds, but I can't stop thinking about you, Emily. About that kiss. About the way you looked at me. Like I was worth something beyond my net worth. Before Emily can respond, Margaret's voice calls from the hallway. Emily, is everything all right in there? Mr. Miller is ready whenever you are. The spell breaks. Emily steps back, wrapping her arms around herself like armor. I have to get back to work. Emily, wait, number. She shakes her head. This is my job, Nate. My real life. I can't afford to mess it up for whatever this is. She's right. And Nathan knows it. But as she gathers the ledgers and heads for the door, he can't let her go without trying one more time. Have dinner with me. Emily stops, her hand on the doorframe. What? Tonight. Dinner. Somewhere quiet, where we can talk without interruptions or misunderstandings. I can't afford fancy restaurants. Then we'll go somewhere you can afford. Your choice. Your rules. Emily turns to look at him, and Nathan sees her wavering. Why should I trust you? Because I'm asking you to. Because the man you met in the garden is still here, underneath all this. He gestures at his suit. And because I think you're brave enough to find out if what we felt that night was real. For a moment, Emily's careful composure cracks, and Nathan sees a flash of the woman who kissed him like the world was ending. Then she squares her shoulders and meets his eyes. Joe's Diner on Melrose, 7 o'clock. And Nate, she pauses at the door. If you show up in a $1,000 suit and try to impress me with your black card, I'm walking out. And then she's gone, leaving Nathan standing alone in a cramped office, heart pounding like he just closed the biggest deal of his life. Maybe he has. Nathan Brooks has faced boardrooms full of hostile investors, congressional hearings about corporate responsibility, and merger negotiations that could make or break entire companies. None of that prepared him for standing outside Joe's Diner at 6:58 p.m., sweating through a plain gray Henley and dark jeans he borrowed from his younger brother, Ryan. The diner is exactly what he expected. Neon signs, vinyl booths, and the kind of authentic, grease-stained charm that can't be bought or replicated. Through the window, he can see Emily already seated in a corner booth, scrolling through her phone while nursing what looks like coffee. She's wearing a simple green sweater and has her hair down, and she's somehow more beautiful than his memory managed to capture. You can do this, he tells himself. Just be Nate. Remember how to be Nate. The problem is he's not entirely sure he remembers who Nate was before he became Nathan Brooks, CEO and professional emotional fortress. The bell above the door chimes as he enters, and Emily looks up. For a second, he sees surprise flicker across her face, probably because he actually followed her dress code before she schools her expression into careful neutrality. You came, she says as he slides into the booth across from her. Did you think I wouldn't? I thought there was a 50/50th chance you'd send your assistant with an excuse and a check to cover my dinner. Nathan winces. I deserve that. Yeah, you did. But Emily's tone lacks real bite, and when the waitress appears, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and sensible shoes, Emily actually smiles. Hey, Linda. This is Nate. Well, hello there, Nate. Linda gives him the kind of once-over that suggests she's seen it all and isn't impressed by much. You treating our Emily right? Working on it, Nathan says honestly, and something in his tone must ring true because Linda nods approvingly. Good answer. What can I get you folks? Emily orders the meatloaf special like she's done it 100 times before. Nathan scans the laminated menu frantically, realizing he has no idea how to order in a place like this. Everything sounds foreign, not because it's fancy, but because it's so aggressively normal. I'll have, he starts, then catches Emily watching him with an unreadable expression. What do you recommend? The burger's good, Emily says quietly. Joe makes them fresh, never frozen. Burger sounds perfect. After Linda leaves, silence stretches between them like a tightrope. Nathan realizes this is the first time in years he's sat in a restaurant where he doesn't know the owner, where there isn't a carefully crafted menu designed to impress clients, where he can't simply order the usual because he has no idea what usual looks like in the real world. So, Emily says, breaking the silence. Nice outfit. Nathan looks down at his borrowed clothes. Ryan's my brother, he says. And I quote, if you show up looking like you're about to foreclose on her apartment, she'll probably throw her drink at you. Smart brother. He has his moments. Nathan fidgets with his water glass. He's also the one who told me I was being an idiot about the whole coffee shop thing. Also smart. Emily, about that. Nate starts, but she holds up a hand. Before you start apologizing again, can I ask you something? Anything. What did you think was going to happen at the coffee shop? I mean, did you think I'd be so dazzled by your tip that I'd fall at your feet in gratitude? The question hits like a punch to the gut because it's so close to the truth. I don't know what I thought. I've never been in a situation like that before. What do you mean? I mean, I've never had to figure out how to talk to someone He pauses, searching for words. Someone I cared about after just meeting them. In my world, relationships are transactions, business partnerships, strategic alliances, social arrangements that benefit both parties. Emily leans back in the booth, studying him. That sounds exhausting. It is, so why do it? Nathan considers lying, giving her some polished answer about responsibility and legacy. But something about the way she's looking at him, curious but not judgmental, makes him want to tell the truth. Because it's safe, he says finally. Because when everything is a transaction, No one can really hurt you. They might disappoint you professionally, but they can't. They can't get close enough to matter. But that's not really living, is it? That's just existing. I know. The admission comes out quieter than he intended. I've known that for a while now, but I didn't know how to change it. Then I met you in that garden, and for 20 minutes, I remembered what it felt like to be human. Emily's expression softens. Nate, I'm not good at this, he continues, the words tumbling out like a dam breaking. I haven't dated anyone who wasn't somehow connected to my business world in years. I have an assistant who manages my calendar, including my personal life. I own 5 cars, but I had to ask my driver where to buy normal clothes. I know how to order wine that costs more than most people's rent, but I just panicked trying to order a burger. You seem to handle the wedding pretty well. The wedding was work. Even when I was hiding in the garden, I was still performing, still being who I thought I should be. He meets her eyes. You were the first person in years to see past all that. Linda arrives with their food, and Nathan is grateful for the interruption. He needs a moment to process what he just admitted. And from the look on Emily's face, so does she. Everything look good here? Linda asks. Perfect. Thanks, Emily says. But she's still looking at Nathan with an expression he can't quite read. They eat in companionable silence for a few minutes. The burger is actually excellent, simple, honest, nothing like the molecular gastronomy creations he's used to. He's halfway through when he realizes Emily is trying not to smile. What? He asks. Nothing. It's just, you eat like you're afraid the burger's going to judge you. Nathan laughs, surprising himself. I'm pretty sure everything in my life judges me. Well, the burger doesn't care about your stock portfolio. Good to know. He takes another bite, more relaxed this time. This is really good, actually. You sound surprised. I am a little. I mean, I knew intellectually that regular food could be good, but I haven't eaten anywhere that didn't have at least 1 Michelin star in. I honestly can't remember how long. Emily shakes her head, but she's smiling now. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. My life is full of sad things when you really look at it, such as, Nathan considers the question seriously. I have a penthouse apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city, but I can't remember the last time I actually looked at the view. I have a wine collection worth more than most people's houses, but I usually drink alone. I can buy literally anything I want, but I can't remember the last time I wanted something just for the joy of having it. What about friends, family, Ryan's good people, my parents? Nathan grimaces. Let's just say they're very invested in the Brooks legacy and not particularly interested in Nate the person. As for friends, well, when you have my kind of money, it's hard to know who actually likes you and who likes what you can do for them. Emily sets down her fork, her expression serious. That's horrible. It's reality. No, it's a choice. Her voice is firm but not unkind. You're choosing to live that way. It's not that simple, is it? Emily leans forward. Nate, you walked into my little cafe and treated me like I was invisible because you were afraid. But then you showed up at my office building because you couldn't stop thinking about me. You orchestrated this whole business meeting as an excuse to see me again. Those are choices. Nathan stares at her, realizing she's absolutely right. When did you get so wise? When I started working 3 jobs to put myself through community college and learned that life is too short to waste time pretending to be someone you're not. 3 jobs? Emily nods. Coffee shop in the morning, accounting work in the afternoon, and I do freelance bookkeeping at night. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. You know, I'm building something. What are you studying? Business administration. I want to open my own accounting firm someday. Help small businesses that can't afford the big corporate firms. She pauses. Like yours, Nathan feels something twist in his chest, admiration, mixed with something that might be envy. You have a plan, a purpose, don't you? Make money. Make more money. Don't let anyone close enough to hurt you. Nathan shrugs. Not exactly inspiring. So change it, Emily. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. Her eyes flash with sudden intensity. You have resources most people can only dream of. You could do anything, be anything, help anyone. Instead, you're sitting here feeling sorry for yourself because your life is empty. That's not tragic, Nate. That's wasteful. The words hit like a slap, but not an unfair one. Nathan sits back, processing the brutal honesty of it. You don't pull your punches, do you? Should I? Number. He meets her eyes. No, you shouldn't. I need to hear this. Good, because I'm not done. Emily signals Linda for more coffee. You want to know what I thought when I saw you at the wedding? Before I knew who you were? What? I thought you looked lonely. Not sad, not arrogant, not mysterious lonely. Like you were surrounded by people but still completely alone. She accepts the coffee refill with a nod of thanks. And when we talked, when we kissed, you lit up like you'd been sleepwalking for years and finally woke up. Nathan's throat feels tight. Maybe I had been. So, stop sleepwalking. I don't know how. Emily reaches across the table and takes his hand. The touch is electric, just like it was in the garden, but warmer now, more real. Start small. Stop letting other people manage your life. Make your own decisions. Do something just because you want to, not because it's strategic or profitable or expected. Like what? Like asking me to dinner without turning it into a business meeting first. Nathan laughs, surprised by how much lighter he feels. Emily Carter, would you like to have dinner with me? Just dinner, no agenda, no ulterior motives. Just because I enjoy your company and you make me want to be a better person. See, that wasn't so hard. Emily squeezes his hand. And yes, I'd like that. But not somewhere with a sommelier. Deal. And not somewhere that requires a reservation made by your assistant. Understood. And Nate, Emily's smile turns mischievous. Next time, you call me yourself. None of this showing up at my workplace stuff. If you want to see me, ask me like a normal person. I can do that. Nathan realizes he's still holding her hand and makes no move to let go. Can I ask you something now? Shoot. Why are you giving me a chance? After everything. After the way I acted. Why not just write me off as another rich jerk and move on? Emily is quiet for a long moment, her thumb tracing circles on the back of his hand. Because when you kissed me in that garden, I felt something I've never felt before. And because underneath all that armor you wear, I can see who you really are. The question is, do you want to be that person? Nathan looks at their joined hands, then at Emily's face open, honest, challenging him to be better than he's been. He thinks about his empty penthouse, his carefully managed life, the way he felt in her arms 3 nights ago. Yeah, he says quietly. I do. Then prove it. How? Emily grins, and the expression transforms her entire face. Take me somewhere you've never been. Show me something real. Something that matters to you, that has nothing to do with Brooks Enterprises. Nathan racks his brain. Where does he go when he's not being Nathan Brooks, CEO? The honest answer is nowhere. But then he remembers something, a place Ryan dragged him 2 years ago, before their father started grooming him for the corporate throne. There's a place, he says slowly, but it's kind of ridiculous. Perfect. It's an arcade. One of those retro ones with pinball machines and Pac-Man. Ryan and I used to go there when we were kids, before. He trails off. Before you became Nathan Brooks instead of Nate. Yeah. Emily stands up, pulling him with her. Then let's go meet Nate. As they walk to the counter to pay, Nathan manages to let Emily split the check without making it weird. He feels something he hasn't experienced in years. Anticipation. Not for a business outcome or a strategic victory, but for the simple pleasure of spending time with someone who sees him as more than a bank account with legs. Emily, he says as they step out into the cool LA evening. Yeah? Thank you. For what? For not giving up on me before I even knew I was lost. Emily stops walking and turns to face him fully. The neon lights from the diner cast a soft glow on her face, and Nathan is struck again by how beautiful she is. Not magazine cover beautiful, but real and warm and alive in a way that makes his chest tight. Nate, she says softly, you're not lost. You just took a really long detour. And then she kisses him, right there on the sidewalk outside Joe's diner, with traffic rushing past and the smell of burger grease in the air. It's nothing like their first kiss. This one is a promise, a beginning, a declaration that maybe fairy tales can happen to regular people after all. When they break apart, Nathan realizes he's smiling wider than he has in years. So, Emily says, grinning back at him, you ready to get your pinball skills handed to you by a girl who grew up in arcades? Bring it on. And for the first time in longer than he can remember, Nathan Brooks isn't thinking about market projections or board meetings or maintaining his reputation. He's just Nate, holding hands with a girl who makes him laugh, walking toward an arcade where he's probably going to lose spectacularly at games he hasn't played in decades. He can't wait. The retro arcade sits wedged between a vintage record store and a 24-hour laundromat on a street that Google Maps probably forgot to update. The exterior is a pure 1,982nd time capsule. Flashing neon signs, advertising classic games and pinball paradise with the kind of aggressive enthusiasm that suggests the owner never quite accepted that the Reagan era ended. Emily grins as they approach the entrance. This is perfect. Nathan, however, looks like he's having second thoughts. I should probably warn you. I haven't been here in about 15 years. It might be different than I remember. Different how? Smaller, sadder, possibly condemned by the health department. Emily laughs and tugs him toward the door. Come on, where's your sense of adventure? The moment they step inside, Nathan is hit with a wave of sensory nostalgia so intense it nearly knocks him backward. The place hasn't changed at all. Same carpet that's seen better decades. Same mixture of electronic beeps and classic rock. Same smell of cleaning solution, fighting a losing battle against years of accumulated teenage enthusiasm. Whoa, Emily breathes, stopping just inside the entrance. This place is amazing. She's not wrong. The arcade stretches back further than seems possible from the outside. Rows of vintage cabinets, glowing like electronic altars. Pac-Man, Galaga, Street Fighter 2, Centipede. All the classics are here, lovingly maintained and still accepting quarters like it's 1,985. In the back, she can see the pinball section, machines lined up like chrome and glass soldiers ready for battle. Nathan Brooks, is that really you? They turn to see a man approaching from behind the counter. 60s, gray ponytail, wearing a faded Led Zeppelin t-shirt that's probably older than Emily. His face lights up with genuine pleasure as he recognizes Nathan. Jimmy. Nathan's voice cracks slightly. Jimmy Castelli, the one and only kid. Jimmy pulls Nathan into a bear hug that would probably crush a lesser man. I was wondering when you'd show your face around here again. Ryan stops by every few months. But you, man, it's been forever. I know. I'm sorry. Work's been. Work. Jimmy waves dismissively. You're here now. That's what matters. And who's this lovely lady? Emily Carter, she says, extending her hand. Nice to meet you. Jimmy Castelli, owner and chief wizard of this magical establishment. Jimmy shakes her hand with obvious approval. Any friend of Nate is family here. You know, this kid and his brother practically lived here when they were teenagers. Nate was the pinball king. Nobody could touch him on Castle Quest. Emily raises an eyebrow at Nathan, who's turning an impressive shade of red. Pinball king? That was a long time ago, Nathan mumbles. Nonsense. Jimmy claps him on the shoulder. You never lose those reflexes. Come on, let me set you two up with some tokens. First hour's on the house. It's the least I can do for an old friend. As Jimmy bustles off to get tokens, Emily studies Nathan's face. There's something different about him here. Younger somehow, like being in this space has peeled back years of corporate conditioning. So, she says, nudging him with her elbow, Pinball King. Ryan and I used to come here every Saturday, Nathan admits, his voice soft with memory. Dad thought it was a waste of time, but Mom would drop us off anyway. Said boys needed somewhere to just be boys. What changed? Nathan's expression clouds over. Dad started bringing me to the office on Saturdays instead. Said it was time I learned the family business. I was 16. Emily feels a pang of sympathy. That's young to give up your childhood. Brooks men don't have childhoods, Nathan says, unconsciously echoing what sounds like a familiar phrase. We have preparation periods. That's horrible. That's reality. But even as he says it, Nathan is looking around the arcade with something like longing. I used to love this place. It was the only place where nobody cared about my last name or my father's expectations. I was just Nate, the kid who could nail the multi-ball bonus on Castle Quest 9 times out of 10. Jimmy returns with 2 buckets of tokens and a grin that suggests he's been plotting something. All right, you two. I've got a proposition for you. Should I be worried? Emily asks. Depends on how competitive you are, Jimmy says with a wink. See, we've got a little tradition here. Anyone who can beat Nate's high score on Castle Quest gets their name on the Wall of Fame and free games for a year. Emily looks at the wall behind the counter, where dozens of initials are scrawled in permanent marker alongside impressive scores. Right at the top, in faded but still legible letters, she sees NB 1,247,850,000. That's your score? She asks Nathan. Was my score 15 years ago. Still stands, Jimmy says proudly. Nobody's even come close. You want to take a shot at defending your title? Nathan hesitates, and Emily can see the internal battle playing out on his face. The corporate executive who doesn't have time for frivolous games Wars with the teenager who once spent entire Saturdays perfecting his flipper technique. I don't know, Nathan says finally. It's been so long. It's like riding a bike, Jimmy insists. Besides, you've got to show Emily here what you're made of, Emily grins. Actually, I think I'll take a shot at that high score myself first. Give Nate here a chance to remember which end of the flippers to use. You play pinball? Nathan looks surprised. My dad owned a bar when I was growing up. I spent more time on pinball machines than playground equipment. Emily cracks her knuckles theatrically. Hope you're not too attached to that record. Jimmy laughs delightedly. Oh, I like her already. This is going to be fun. They make their way to the back of the arcade, where Castle Quest sits in all its medieval glory. The machine is a work of art. A castle-themed playfield, intricate ramps and targets, and sound effects that transport players to a world of knights and dragons. Emily runs her hands over the sides of the machine, feeling the familiar weight and balance. You sure about this? Nathan asks, but there's amusement in his voice now. This machine is notoriously difficult. Is that concern I hear in your voice? Emily feeds tokens into the slot. Afraid I might actually beat your score, maybe a little. Emily positions herself at the machine, feeling the familiar thrill of competition. Any special techniques I should know about? Gentle nudges only, Nathan says, moving to stand beside her. Too aggressive. And you'll tilt. The left ramp is the key to building up jackpots. But you have to time it perfectly when the drawbridge is down. Anything else? Nathan pauses, then leans closer. Emily can feel the warmth of his body beside her, smell that subtle cologne that's been driving her crazy since the wedding. Don't overthink it, he says softly. Just feel the rhythm of the machine. The first ball launches, and Emily quickly remembers why she fell in love with pinball as a kid. There's something meditative about it, the way you have to read the ball's movement, anticipate its path, react with perfect timing. Her first ball lasts a respectable 4 minutes before she loses it down the right side. Not bad, Nathan murmurs. You've got good instincts, just getting warmed up. By her third ball, Emily has found her groove. The score climbs steadily as she triggers bonuses and builds multipliers. She can hear other players gathering behind them, drawn by Jimmy's enthusiastic commentary. Look at that form, Jimmy calls out. Textbook flipper control. Emily is deep in the zone now, the rest of the arcade fading away. This is what she loves about games like this. The pure focus, the way everything else disappears except the silver ball and the need to keep it in play. When she finally drains her last ball, the machine erupts in celebratory sound effects. Holy cow. Someone behind them whispers. Emily looks at the score display and grins. 890, 2,450,000. Not enough to beat Nathan's record, but respectable enough that several people start applauding. That was incredible, Nathan says, and the admiration in his voice is genuine. Where did you learn to play like that? Years of practice and a very patient father, Emily says, stepping back from the machine. Your turn, Pinball King. Nathan approaches the machine like he's greeting an old friend. His hands find their familiar positions on the flipper buttons, and Emily can see muscle memory taking over despite the 15-year gap. This feels weird, he admits. Good weird, but weird. Take your time, Jimmy calls out. The machine's not going anywhere. Nathan feeds in his tokens, and the first ball launches. Within seconds, Emily can see why he held the high score for so long. His movements are fluid, almost artistic. Every flipper stroke precisely timed. Every nudge just enough to influence the ball without risking a tilt. The score climbs rapidly as he triggers multi-ball and starts building toward the major bonuses. My goodness, Emily breathes, watching him work. You're amazing at this. Nathan glances at her with a quick smile before returning his attention to the machine. I used to practice for hours. It was my escape from everything else. What happened to that version of you? He grew up, Nathan says, expertly catching the ball on the left flipper and lining up a crucial shot. Or thought he did. The crowd behind them has grown larger, drawn by the spectacle of watching a master at work. Emily finds herself mesmerized, not just by Nathan's skill, but by the transformation she sees in him. This isn't the careful, controlled CEO she met at the coffee shop. This is someone alive, present, completely absorbed in the moment. Multi-ball, the machine announces as 3 balls enter play simultaneously. Nathan's hands move in a blur, managing all 3 balls with a combination of skill and instinct that borders on supernatural. The score jumps in massive increments. 200 million, 300 million, climbing toward his old record with each successful shot. He's going to break his own record, someone whispers. Emily watches Nathan's face, sees the moment when years of corporate stress and careful control fall away completely. He's not thinking about board meetings or market shares or maintaining his image. He's just Nate, completely in his element, doing something he loves simply for the joy of doing it well. When the final ball drains and the machine tallies the final score, the entire arcade falls silent for a moment. Then Jimmy starts whooping, and everyone else joins in. 1,248,920,000. Jimmy shouts. New house record. Nathan steps back from the machine, looking dazed. I can't believe I just did that. Believe it, Emily says, throwing her arms around him in a spontaneous hug. That was incredible. Nathan hugs her back, and Emily can feel him trembling slightly with adrenaline. I haven't felt like that in years, he says into her hair. I forgot how good it felt to just do something for the pure joy of it. Well, you'd better remember, Jimmy says, approaching with a permanent marker. You've got a new record to sign. As Nathan adds his initials to the wall of fame NB2024, Emily watches the way his shoulders have relaxed, the way his smile reaches his eyes for the first time since she's known him. This is who he really is, she realizes, not the polished CEO or the careful businessman, but this person who lights up when he's doing something he loves. So, what now? Nathan asks as they step away from the machine. Want to try some other games? Emily grins. Actually, I was thinking we could tackle some classics. When's the last time you played Pac-Man? Probably the same day I last played pinball. Well, then you're in for a treat. Fair warning though, I'm pretty decent at Pac-Man too. They spend the next 2 hours working their way through the arcade's greatest hits. Nathan turns out to be a wizard at Galaga, while Emily dominates at Centipede. They team up for some cooperative games, laughing as they fail spectacularly at coordinating their movements in games that require teamwork. We're terrible at this, Emily gasps, watching their characters die for the 5th time in a row. Speak for yourself, Nathan protests, then immediately runs his character into a wall. Okay, we're terrible at this. By the time they've exhausted their tokens, it's nearly midnight. The arcade has mostly emptied out, except for a few die-hard players and Jimmy, who's been watching them with obvious approval. You kids have fun? Jimmy asks as they approach the counter. The best kind of fun, Emily says honestly. Thank you for letting us stay so late. Hey, you brought Nate back home. That's worth staying open late for. Jimmy turns to Nathan. You better not wait another 15 years to come back. You hear me? I won't, Nathan promises, and Emily can tell he means it. Thank you, Jimmy, for everything. Outside the arcade, the Los Angeles night is cool and quiet. Emily and Nathan walk slowly toward where Nathan's car is parked. A surprisingly modest sedan rather than the flashy sports car she'd been expecting. Ryan's car, Nathan explains when he notices her looking. Mine's a bit too conspicuous for places like Jimmy's ran. What do you drive? A Tesla. Top of the line, fully loaded, completely sterile. Nathan makes a face. It's like driving a very expensive appliance. Emily laughs. You really have issues with your lifestyle choices, don't you? I'm starting to... Yeah. Nathan stops walking and turns to face her. Emily, tonight was. I can't remember the last time I had this much fun. Just pure, uncomplicated fun. Good. You needed it. I needed you, Nathan says quietly, then looks surprised at his own honesty. I mean, I needed someone to remind me who I used to be before I became so afraid of being hurt that I stopped being human. Emily reaches up and touches his face gently. Nate, you don't have to choose between being successful and being happy. Those aren't mutually exclusive, are they? In my experience, your experience has been shaped by fear, Emily interrupts. What if you tried making decisions based on what makes you happy instead of what keeps you safe? Nathan leans into her touch. I'm not sure I remember how to be happy. Then we'll figure it out together. The promise hangs in the air between them, weighted with possibility. Nathan searches Emily's face, looking for signs that she doesn't mean it, that this is all too good to be true. But all he sees is honesty, warmth, and something that might be love starting to bloom. Emily, he says softly, I know this is probably too soon, and I know I come with a lot of baggage, but... He takes a deep breath. I think I'm falling in love with you. Emily's smile lights up the entire street. Nate Brooks, are you asking me to take a chance on you? I'm asking you to take a chance on us, on whatever this could become if we're brave enough to try. Instead of answering with words, Emily kisses him. This kiss is different from their previous ones, deeper, more certain, full of promises and possibilities. When they break apart, both are breathing hard. Is that a yes? Nathan asks. That's a yes to trying, Emily says. But Nate, I need you to understand something. I'm not going to change who I am for you. I'm not going to become some corporate wife who looks good at charity galas and keeps her opinions to herself. I wouldn't want you to. And I'm not going to let you go back to being that empty, scared person who thinks money can substitute for human connection. Good, Nathan says, surprising her. Don't let me. Call me out when I start acting like Nathan Brooks, CEO, instead of Nate. Deal. But you have to promise me something in return. Anything. Promise me you'll keep being this person, Emily says, gesturing toward the arcade behind them. The one who gets excited about pinball and doesn't care about looking foolish. Promise me you won't let the corporate world swallow him up again. Nathan considers this seriously. That's going to be harder than you think. There are a lot of people who have a vested interest in keeping me as Nathan Brooks, not Nate. Then we'll figure out how to balance both. But Nate doesn't disappear anymore, okay? He's too important. Okay, Nathan agrees. But Emily, you should know that dating me isn't going to be simple. There will be paparazzi, business obligations, social events where people will judge you for not coming from money. Let them judge, Emily says fiercely. I've been working for everything I have since I was 16. I'm not ashamed of who I am or where I come from. I know you're not. That's one of the things I love about you. One of the things? Nathan grins, and for a moment, he looks exactly like the boy who spent Saturdays mastering pinball machines. Give me time. I'm still figuring out all the reasons I'm crazy about you. As they drive through the quiet Los Angeles streets, Emily watches Nathan's face in the dashboard light. There's something peaceful about him now. Something settled that wasn't there before. The scared, lonely man from the wedding is still there. But so is this other person, someone who can laugh at himself, who can lose himself in simple pleasures, who can admit when he's wrong and ask for help changing. Where do we go from here? She asks as they pull up outside her apartment building. I was hoping you'd have some ideas about that, Nathan admits. I've never done this before, dated someone real, someone who matters. Well, how about we start with normal things? You know, like actual dates that you plan yourself. Movies, dinners at places that don't require a credit check to get reservations. Maybe I could meet Ryan sometime. He'd love that. He's been telling me for years that I needed someone to keep me honest. Smart brother, the smartest. Nathan reaches over and takes her hand. Emily, thank you. For what? For seeing something in me worth saving. Emily unbuckles her seatbelt and leans over to kiss him one more time. Nate, you don't need saving. You just needed reminding of who you already were. As she walks up to her apartment, Emily can feel Nathan watching her go. When she reaches her door and turns back, he's still there, and the smile on his face is bright enough to power the whole building. Inside her small apartment, Emily leans against the door and grins like an idiot. 3 days ago, she was just a girl working 2 jobs and dreaming of something better. Now she's dating a billionaire who might just be worth all the complications that come with him. Her phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Had an amazing time tonight. Would you like to have dinner tomorrow, somewhere normal? My choice this time. Nate the Pinball King, Emily types back. Only if you promise not to Google best normal restaurants first. His response comes immediately. Deal. I'll ask Ryan for recommendations. He's more qualified to judge normal than I am. Perfect. It's a date. It's a date, he confirms. Emily. Yeah? Sweet dreams. Emily sets her phone aside and gets ready for bed, but sleep is the last thing on her mind. Tomorrow, she's going to see what happens when Nate Brooks tries to plan a normal date. Something tells her it's going to be interesting. In his penthouse across town, Nathan stares out at the city lights and feels something he hasn't experienced in years. Genuine excitement about the future. For the first time in longer than he can remember, he has something to look forward to that has nothing to do with quarterly reports or board meetings. He has Emily. And maybe, just maybe, he's beginning to remember how to be happy. Nathan Brooks wakes up at 5:30 a.m. for the first time in his adult life without an alarm. Instead of the usual dread that accompanies consciousness, he feels something foreign and wonderful. Anticipation. Today, he's planning his first real date in, well, possibly ever, and he's terrified in the best possible way. He lies in bed for a few minutes, staring at the ceiling of his ridiculously expensive penthouse, thinking about Emily's challenge from last night. Promise me you'll keep being this person, the one who gets excited about pinball and doesn't care about looking foolish, the person who can laugh at himself and admit when he's wrong. That person feels fragile this morning, like a newly hatched butterfly that might not survive the first strong wind. But Emily saw something worth saving, and maybe that's enough to start with. His phone buzzes with a text from Ryan. Heard through the grapevine you have a hot date tonight. About time, Big brother. Nathan types back, "How did you already know about that? Jimmy called me at midnight to tell me you broke your own record and brought a girl who might actually be good for you. Also, I may have been stalking your location when you didn't come home by 10 p.m. Old habits. You're terrible. I'm protective. There's a difference. So, what's the plan for tonight?" Nathan stares at his phone, realizing he has absolutely no idea what the plan is. He promised Emily a normal date, his choice. But his definition of normal and actual normal are probably universes apart. "I need help," he types. "No kidding. Meet me at O'Malley's in an hour. We're going to plan you a date that won't send this poor girl running for the hills." O'Malley's turns out to be a small Irish pub in Ryan's neighborhood, the kind of place Nathan didn't even know existed in Los Angeles. It's 7 a.m., and somehow it's already serving full breakfasts to what appears to be a mix of night shift workers, early morning joggers, and people who just never went to bed. Ryan is waiting in a corner booth, looking annoyingly refreshed for someone who was apparently up until midnight taking calls about his brother's love life. At 25, Ryan Brooks managed to avoid most of their father's corporate indoctrination by the simple expedient of being the spare heir. He works as a freelance photographer, lives in a normal apartment, and maintains the kind of easy confidence that Nathan lost somewhere around his 16th birthday. "You look terrible," Ryan announces cheerfully as Nathan slides into the booth. "Thanks. Really what I needed to hear this morning. When's the last time you slept?" "What sleep?" Nathan accepts coffee from a waitress who calls him on and doesn't seem to recognize his face from magazine covers. "Ryan, I have no idea what I'm doing." "I know. It's written all over your face." Ryan studies his brother with the same intensity he usually reserves for framing the perfect shot. "Tell me about her." "Emily, she's..." Nathan pauses, trying to find words that encompass everything. "Emily is... she's real. Completely authentically real. She works 2 jobs, goes to community college, has goals that don't involve my bank account. She called me out on my corporate robot act, and then kissed me anyway. Sounds terrifying. The most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me." Ryan grins. "Good. You need terrifying. You've been sleepwalking through life for years. Everyone keeps telling me that, because it's true." Ryan's expression grows serious. "Nate, I've watched you turn yourself into Dad's perfect corporate clone, and it's been killing me. You used to have opinions about things that weren't stock prices. You used to laugh, actually laugh, not that polite executive chuckle you've perfected." "I know." Nathan stares into his coffee cup. "I lost myself somewhere along the way. Emily makes me remember who I used to be." "Then don't screw this up." Helpful advice. Really specific and actionable. Ryan laughs. "Okay, let's talk logistics. What does Emily like to do for fun?" "She reads a lot. She mentioned loving bookstores. And she's competitive. You should have seen her at the arcade last night. She almost beat my pinball record on her first try." "Interesting. What else?" Nathan thinks back through their conversations. "She's passionate about small businesses. She wants to help them with their accounting, level the playing field against bigger companies. She's proud of working her way through school. She values authenticity over everything else." "And what do you want to show her about yourself? That I'm not just a walking bank account? That I can be normal? That I'm worth taking a chance on, even if I come with a lot of baggage?" Ryan nods thoughtfully. "Okay, I have an idea, but you're going to have to trust me, and you're going to have to be okay with getting your hands dirty." "How dirty are we talking?" "Metaphorically dirty. Probably literally dirty, too, actually." 2 hours later, Nathan finds himself standing outside the Los Angeles Central Library, holding a picnic basket that Ryan swore was foolproof, and wearing jeans that actually belonged to him for the first time in years. His brother's plan had sounded simultaneously perfect and terrifying when explained over breakfast. Now, waiting for Emily to arrive, it just sounds terrifying. "You can do this," he mutters to himself. "It's just a date. Normal people do this all the time. Talking to yourself is either a sign of genius or impending breakdown," Emily's voice says behind him. "I'm hoping for genius." Nathan turns around and feels his breath catch. Emily is wearing a simple sundress in a color that makes her eyes look like emeralds, and her hair is loose around her shoulders. She's beautiful in a way that has nothing to do with expensive styling or designer clothes, just natural, effortless, real. "Hi," he says, suddenly feeling tongue-tied. "Hi yourself." Emily looks at the library behind him, then at the picnic basket in his hands. This is not what I was expecting. Good not expecting or bad not expecting? Definitely good, though I have to ask, did you plan this yourself, or did you hire a dating consultant? Nathan grins sheepishly. Ryan helped, but the idea was mine, I swear. What exactly is the idea? Literary treasure hunt followed by a picnic lunch. I figured, since you love books. He trails off, suddenly uncertain. It's stupid, isn't it? We could go somewhere normal instead, like a restaurant. Or Nate. Emily puts her hand on his arm, stopping his rambling. It's perfect. I love it already. Really? Really. Though I should warn you, I'm very competitive about book-related activities. I was counting on that. The Los Angeles Central Library is a magnificent building that somehow manages to be both grand and welcoming. Nathan has driven past it hundreds of times but never actually been inside, which seems like a metaphor for his entire life up until this week. Welcome to the most beautiful library in LA, Emily says as they climb the steps to the entrance. Have you been here before? Never. Seriously? You've lived here your whole life and never been to the Central Library? Nathan feels his cheeks heat up. My education was mostly private tutors and elite prep schools. This kind of public space wasn't really part of my world. Emily stops walking and looks at him with an expression he can't quite read. Nate, that's really sad. I know, but also kind of exciting. I get to show you one of my favorite places for the first time. The inside of the library is even more impressive than the exterior. Soaring ceilings, beautiful murals, and more books than Nathan has ever seen in one place. Emily moves through the space like she owns it, greeting librarians by name and navigating the different sections with practiced ease. Okay, Nathan says. Pulling out a piece of paper Ryan helped him prepare. Are you ready for your first clue? Bring it on. Find the author who wrote about a mockingbird. Then look for the section where detectives solve crimes with nothing but their minds. Emily's face lights up with competitive glee. Harper Lee, mystery section. Too easy. She takes off toward the fiction stacks, and Nathan follows, admiring the way she moves with purpose and confidence. She finds the mystery section in under 2 minutes and starts scanning the shelves. There, she says, pointing to a small envelope tucked between 2 Agatha Christie novels. That better be my next clue. Nathan retrieves the envelope and hands it to her with a flourish. Your next challenge awaits. Emily tears it open and reads, Where would you find information about the City of Angels past? And what section holds the stories of those who came before? Local history and biography, Emily says immediately. This is fun. Did you come up with these clues yourself? Ryan helped, but I insisted they all be book-related, Nathan admits. I wanted to do something that would be meaningful to you. Mission accomplished. They work their way through the library, following clues that lead them from poetry to science fiction to art books. With each stop, Nathan watches Emily become more animated, more herself. She knows the library like her own neighborhood, chatting with staff and pointing out favorite books along the way. This is my sanctuary, she explains as they search for the 4th clue in the travel section. When work gets overwhelming or life feels too complicated, I come here. Books don't judge you for your bank account or your family background. They just exist, waiting to tell you their stories. I don't think I've read a book for pleasure in years, Nathan admits. Everything's been business journals and market analysis. That's tragic. What did you used to like to read before you became Nathan Brooks, CEO? Nathan thinks back, trying to remember. Science fiction, actually. Isaac Asimov, Philip K. Dick, Douglas Adams. I loved stories about other worlds, other possibilities. We're going to fix that, Emily declares. After we finish this treasure hunt, I'm picking out some books for you. The final clue leads them to the library's beautiful outdoor courtyard, where Nathan has set up the second part of his plan. A blanket is spread under a small tree, with the picnic basket and a thermos of coffee waiting. How did you manage this? Emily asks, looking around the secluded spot. I may have made a small donation to the library's renovation fund in exchange for permission to use this space, Nathan says. But I swear that's the only money I threw at this date. A small donation? Okay. A medium-sized donation, but it's going to a good cause, and I genuinely wanted to support the library after learning how much it means to you. Emily sits down on the blanket and pats the space beside her. What's in the basket? Nathan opens it, revealing sandwiches from a deli Ryan recommended, fresh fruit, and homemade cookies that Ryan's girlfriend, Olivia, insisted on contributing. Nothing fancy, just food. It's perfect. Emily picks up half a sandwich and examines it. Turkey and avocado on sourdough. How did you know this is my favorite? Lucky guess. Chloe, You asked Chloe, didn't you? Nathan looks sheepish. I may have stopped by the coffee shop this morning and asked for advice. She was very helpful. Also very threatening about what would happen to me if I hurt you. Emily laughs. That sounds like Chloe. What did she threaten you with? Something involving a very hot espresso machine and parts of my anatomy I prefer to keep unscalded. She likes you, Emily says, taking a bite of her sandwich. She told me this morning that any guy willing to show up at 6 a.m. asking for relationship advice might actually be worth keeping around. What do you think? Emily considers this seriously. I think you're trying really hard to be someone you're not sure how to be yet, but I also think you're willing to learn, which counts for a lot. They eat in comfortable silence for a while, watching other library patrons come and go. Nathan feels more relaxed than he has in years, sitting on a blanket in the middle of Los Angeles with a woman who makes him laugh and challenges him to be better. Can I ask you something? Emily says eventually. Anything. What happens next? I mean, long term. You're still the CEO of a billion-dollar company. I'm still a girl working 2 jobs and going to community college. Those are some pretty significant lifestyle differences. Nathan sets down his coffee, recognizing the seriousness of the question. I've been thinking about that too. And honestly, I don't have all the answers, but I know I don't want to go back to the way things were before I met you. What does that mean? Practically speaking, it means I want to figure out how to balance both parts of my life. I can't just quit being Nathan Brooks. Too many people depend on that company for their livelihoods. But I also can't keep being only Nathan Brooks. That guy is miserable and lonely, and scared of everything real. Emily nods. So you need to find a way to be both. With your help, maybe, if you're willing to put up with the complications. What kind of complications are we talking about? Nathan takes a deep breath. Media attention, probably. Social events where people will judge you. Business obligations that might interfere with our plans. Family members who will have opinions about you that they won't keep to themselves. Your parents. Emily confirms grimly. My parents, Nathan confirms. They're going to hate this. They've had their eye on a few suitable candidates from other wealthy families. They're not going to understand why I'd choose someone from outside their world. And how do you feel about disappointing them? Nathan is quiet for a long moment. Terrified, but also relieved. I've spent my entire adult life trying to live up to their expectations, and it's made me miserable. Maybe it's time I started making choices based on what makes me happy instead of what makes them proud. That's a big step, the biggest. But Emily, being with you makes me want to be brave. You make me want to fight for something that's mine, not something that was chosen for me. Emily reaches over and takes his hand. Nate, I need you to understand something. I'm not going to be your rebellion against your parents. If we do this, if we really try to make this work, it has to be because you want me. Not because you want to prove a point. It's not about rebellion, Nathan says firmly. It's about finally choosing something real over something safe. And you're sure I'm worth the complications? Nathan lifts their joined hands and kisses her knuckles. Emily, you're worth everything. The words hang in the air between them, weighted with promise and possibility. Emily studies his face, looking for signs of doubt or uncertainty. All she sees is sincerity, and something that might be love growing stronger by the hour. Okay, she says finally. Okay, let's try this. Let's see if we can make it work. But Nate, I have conditions. Name them. First, no more showing up at my workplace unannounced. If you want to see me, you call or text like a normal person. Done. Second, I'm not changing who I am or where I come from to fit into your world. I'm proud of my background, and I won't apologize for it. I would never ask you to. Third, you have to keep being Nate, not just when we're alone, but as much as possible in your regular life, too. I fell for the guy who gets excited about pinball, not the guy who treats everything like a business transaction. Nathan nods seriously. That's going to be the hardest one, but I'll try. Will you help me remember when I start sliding back into Nathan Brooks mode? Absolutely. I'm very good at calling people on their nonsense. I've noticed. Nathan grins. Any other conditions? Just one more. When this gets hard, and it will get hard, we talk to each other. No shutting down, no protecting each other from difficult truths. If we're going to make this work, we have to be honest about everything. I can do that. Nathan pauses. Actually, in the spirit of honesty, there's something I should probably tell you. Emily's stomach tightens. What? I may have already told Ryan he could meet you tonight. He's making dinner at his place, and he's very excited about the prospect of embarrassing me in front of someone I care about. Emily laughs, relief flooding through her. That's what you were worried about telling me? Nate, I'd love to meet Ryan. He sounds like he keeps you grounded. He does. Sometimes painfully so. Nathan hesitates. Are you sure you're ready for that? Meeting the family is kind of a big step. Are you kidding? I've been curious about Ryan since you first mentioned him. Plus, I want to meet the person who helped plan this perfect date. It was perfect. Emily looks around the library courtyard, at the remains of their simple picnic, at Nathan's face, full of hope and uncertainty. It was perfect because it was real, because you put thought into what would make me happy instead of what would impress me, because you let me see more of who you really are. Good, Nathan says, leaning closer, because I was terrified I'd mess it up. You didn't mess up anything. Emily closes the distance between them. Though, I should warn you, if Ryan's cooking involves anything more complicated than sandwiches, you might want to lower your expectations. Fair warning. Noted. They pack up the picnic and make their way back through the library, but not before Emily insists on showing Nathan her favorite sections and checking out a small stack of science fiction novels for him to read. Homework, she explains as they leave the building. If you're going to date a book lover, you need to remember how to read for pleasure. I'll start tonight, Nathan promises. After dinner with Ryan, Ryan's apartment is exactly what Nathan expected. Artistic chaos with an underlying sense of home that his own sterile penthouse completely lacks. Photography equipment shares space with well-worn furniture, and the walls are covered with Ryan's work street photography that captures the real Los Angeles most people never see. Emily. Ryan greets her with a warm hug, like they're old friends. Thank goodness you're real. I was starting to think Nate had invented you to make me feel better about his sad social life. Thanks, Ryan. Really building up my confidence here, Nathan says dryly. That's what little brothers are for. Ryan grins unrepentantly. Emily, I hope you like pasta, because that's basically the only thing I know how to cook that's not burned or undercooked. Pasta sounds perfect, Emily says, looking around the apartment with obvious appreciation. Your photography is incredible. Is that from the arts district? You know LA pretty well, Ryan says, looking pleased. That's from a series I did on urban renewal and gentrification, trying to capture the neighborhoods before they get completely transformed. It's beautiful and sad at the same time. Exactly what I was going for. Ryan shoots a meaningful look at Nathan. I like her already. Over dinner, which turns out to be surprisingly good pasta with homemade sauce, Emily gets to see a side of Nathan she's never witnessed before. With Ryan, he's more relaxed, more willing to laugh at himself. The brothers have an easy rapport, built on years of shared experiences and mutual affection. Tell me about Nate as a kid, Emily says, pointing her fork at Ryan. I bet you have some excellent, embarrassing stories. Oh, do I ever? Ryan's eyes light up with mischief. Did he tell you about his brief phase as a wannabe magician? Ryan, Nathan warns. He was 12, and he'd convinced himself he was going to be the next David Copperfield. Spent an entire summer practicing card tricks and trying to make things disappear. That sounds adorable, Emily says, grinning at Nathan's obvious discomfort. It was, until he tried to make Dad's Rolex disappear during a dinner party. Turned out his magic skills weren't quite up to making it reappear. Nathan covers his face with his hands. I can't believe you're telling her this. How much trouble did he get in? Emily asks. Let's just say it was the end of Nate's magic career, Ryan says diplomatically. Dad made me spend the rest of the summer working in the office to learn responsibility, Nathan adds. I was 12 years old, filing papers and answering phones. Emily's smile fades. That's awful. You were just a kid. Brooks men don't get to be just kids, Ryan says quietly, echoing Nathan's words from the night before. Dad had very specific ideas about how we should spend our time. Is that why you became a photographer instead of joining the family business? Ryan nods. I learned early that the only way to stay sane in this family was to carve out something that was completely mine. Nate wasn't so lucky. Being the heir apparent meant he got the full treatment. Emily looks at Nathan with new understanding. No wonder you lost yourself for a while. I made choices, Nathan says. I could have fought back, could have insisted on doing things differently. Could you? Ryan challenges gently. Nate, you were 16 when Dad started grooming you to take over. That's not really old enough to mount a successful rebellion against someone like our father. What's he like? Emily asks. Your father? The brothers exchange a look before Ryan answers. Brilliant. Successful. Completely ruthless when it comes to getting what he wants. He built Brooks Enterprises from the ground up, and it's his life's work. He sees Nate as the continuation of his legacy. And your mother? Mom's complicated, Nathan says carefully. She loves us, but she's also completely devoted to Dad and his vision of what our lives should look like. She's not going to understand why I'd choose someone who doesn't fit their idea of a suitable Brooks wife. Emily sets down her wine glass. Are you preparing me for meeting them? Eventually, maybe. If you're brave enough. I'm not brave, Emily says honestly, but I'm stubborn. And if they matter to you, then I want to try to understand them. Ryan raises his glass. To Emily Carter, who might just be brave enough to save my brother from himself. To Emily, Nathan agrees, clinking his glass against hers, who already has. Later, as they walk back to Ryan's car, Emily is quiet and thoughtful. Penny for your thoughts, Nathan says. Just processing, Emily replies. Your family situation is more complicated than I realized. Are you having second thoughts? Emily stops walking and turns to face him. Nate, I've been having second thoughts since the moment I met you. Not about you, but about whether I'm strong enough to handle your world. And I've decided that the only way to find out is to try. But I need you to promise me something. What? Promise me that no matter what happens with your parents or your business or the media or whatever other complications come up, you won't go back to being that scared, lonely person who treats everything like a transaction. Nathan takes her hands in his. I promise. But Emily, I need you to promise me something too. Name it. Promise me you won't let my world change who you are. Stay stubborn. Keep calling me on my nonsense. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're not good enough, because you're more than good enough. You're everything. Emily stands on her tiptoes and kisses him slow and sweet and full of promise. I love you, she says when they break apart. I love Nate, and I think I could even learn to tolerate Nathan Brooks, CEO, as long as he doesn't completely take over. I love you too, Nathan says, and means it more than he's ever meant anything in his life. Both versions of you, the tough, independent woman who doesn't need anyone, and the part of you that's willing to take a chance on us. So, what happens now? Nathan looks around at the quiet Los Angeles street, at Ryan's apartment building behind them, at Emily's face in the soft streetlight. A month ago, his life was completely predictable. Board meetings and business dinners and carefully managed social obligations. Now he's in love with a woman who challenges everything he thought he knew about himself. And the future feels full of possibilities instead of predetermined outcomes. Now we figure it out as we go, he says. Together, Emily agrees. 3 months later, Nathan Brooks makes headlines when he announces major changes to Brooks Enterprises' corporate structure, including a new initiative to provide free accounting services to small businesses and a significant increase in employee benefits. The business press calls it a bold move that could revolutionize how large corporations interact with their communities. Emily Carter doesn't make the headlines, but she's there in the background, helping to plan the small business program and keeping Nathan grounded when the pressure of change threatens to overwhelm him. She's also there in the foreground, having moved into Nathan's penthouse and transformed it from a sterile showplace into something that actually feels like home. The Brooks family dinner, where Nathan introduced Emily to his parents, was every bit as difficult as anticipated. But Emily held her own, answering pointed questions about her background with dignity and making it clear that she wasn't going anywhere. Nathan's father still hasn't quite forgiven his son for choosing love over a strategic alliance, but Nathan finds he cares less about his father's approval than he thought he would. Ryan's prediction that Emily would save Nathan from himself turns out to be only half right. She doesn't save him. She helps him save himself, one authentic choice at a time. In return, Nathan helps Emily launch her own accounting firm 6 months ahead of schedule, using his connections and resources to give her the kind of start most entrepreneurs can only dream of. Jimmy's Arcade gets a new Castle Quest machine, donated anonymously but signed with the initials NB and EC. The high score record stands at $1,450,000,000, a joint effort that took them 3 hours and resulted in an epic victory celebration involving pizza, cheap beer, and a makeshift trophy made from an old pinball part. Chloe still works at Brewhaven, but now she's also the unofficial manager, thanks to the business loan Emily helped her secure through the new Brooks Enterprises small business program. She takes full credit for Nathan and Emily's relationship, claiming that her threatening him with espresso machine burns was the catalyst that made him realize he couldn't live without Emily. And sometimes, when work gets too complicated or the pressure of balancing 2 worlds becomes overwhelming, Nathan and Emily still sneak away to the central library. They spread a blanket in the courtyard, share sandwiches from the same deli, and remember that the best things in life are often the simplest ones. The fairy tale, it turns out, isn't about a billionaire sweeping a working-class girl off her feet. It's about two people brave enough to be real with each other, even when real is messy and complicated and doesn't always look like what everyone else expects. But then again, the best fairy tales usually don't.